Here's the anatomy slides. Ready? So, we're doing landmarks of the face continued, right? Today we're going to be going into bone landmarks. God, I need to fucking size that better. Hold on. Y'all can't see shit. It's a little bit better, huh? It's hard to like get the sizing on this new overlay, right? Sorry, guys. Okay, here we go. So, we're focusing on the zygomatic arch, more commonly known as the cheekbone. The front plane of the cheekbone is what I'm mostly focusing on. The mandible, which is the lower jaw, and that's what you see here, right? And then the circumflex accent, which is it's going to be this little bit right here. Okay. And people always ask me like, "Oh, you draw a baby?" Whenever I go over the skull, babies are weird. Just draw them like anime chibis. You'll be fine. Because like their skull. Look at the skull. Look at the skull of a baby. Let's not get into that. Okay. Also, the word of the week is fontanelle. The zygomatic arch is the cheekbone, as it is more commonly called. It's usually the widest part of the face at the sides. Usually, right? Not always, usually, but it's the widest part of the face. But it's not the widest part of the skull. From the front of the face, it's usually it usually presents as like a triangular, flat-ish plane that sits right below the fat of your eye and right next to the nose, and it catches light, and it often causes this phenomenon that we call Rembrandt's lighting or Rembrandt's triangle. And what is Rembrandt's triangle? It is this really common phenomenon that we see a lot in classical paintings, popularized after the Renaissance, not the Renaissance period, the romantic early romantic period. The early romantic period, during Rembrandt's, portraiture period, where he like paints a lot of nobles with like really dramatic lighting from the side, and it creates this like lighting effect under the eye, and it catches on the zygomatic arch, and you see it often not only in his paintings but also in real life and in photography, and we can simulate that effect much more often and effectively now with the lighting tools that we have. And the reason why it happens is because the zygomatic arch has a bit of it that faces forward on your face, and it creates that front facial plane of your cheek, and it catches the light in this lighting, in like a dramatic lighting situation from the side, right? Anyways, moving on from that, the lower jaw, your mandible is the only bone on your face that you really need to worry about like drawing moving. um every other bone is basically just fused into your skull. You should really read this book, by the way. The variables outlined here are really important. I really like how the author of this book like outlines like how the different variables can change. um the shape of the mouth that the mandible forms is kind of important. I feel like it's really hard to draw mouths because like nobody understands how they really work, and it's just like it's really easy to understand if you think of them more as like two semicircles that are connected by a hinge in the back, which is shown really succinctly here in this drawing. Like if you look at them as two like half circles, right? As two half circles, it's a lot easier. Um it's like cylindrical in the socket of the mouth, right? And like if we need visual example, I can provide that as well, but I feel like this example is also really good. So the circumflex accent is the last thing that I want to touch on, and it's I was taught it as the keystone of the face. It's this little bit that is between the two occipital sockets above the nose ridge and below the forehead plane. The lower edge of the forehead plane creates this little upside down trapezoid right above your nose, right? And it's really important for determining how deep your eyebrow ridge is. And so like how deep you shade it and how well lit it is, it determines like the angle from which you are looking at the face and how like deep set your eyes are, or how like big your nose is, or how like strong your brow is. It's one of the parts that helps with expressions and building the eyebrow ridge, which helps with building like the eyes and like your nose and stuff like that. So, and it's a landmark on the face as well. From this point on the face is where you start building like all those important bone marks on the face. So like when you look at a face from the 3/4 angle, there's always like a little notch on the top of the nose before you actually start drawing the nose ridge proper, right? That's the beginning of the circumflex accent. Anyways, here's a cat. Squid was sleeping like this the other day. Sometimes I put my foot right here on his tummy and he starts purring. He's really cute. Anyways, here's your homework for the week. Your homework this week is to draw an Asaro head, three Asaro heads. I would like you not to trace them. It's okay if you do trace them. I would like at least one untraced Asaro head, but if you feel the need to trace them first to study them, that would be fine. If you could draw like and define like the facial planes, that would be nice. If you want to go the extra mile, like start drawing facial features on them, that's also cool. But I really just want you to start practicing drawing like facial planes and like what stands out to you about this Sorrow head. Okay? And I also like would like people to start working on their line confidence. Also for extra credit, we're gonna have oh hey Shiga. For extra credit, we're gonna have a different assignment where I'm gonna have you go to referenceangle.com and you're going to pick 3 different angles of the face, and I would like you to draw it to the best of your ability. Don't trace it either. Okay? Okay. That's it. That's it for your lecture for this week.